John D. Villarreal, and welcome to another show here. I'm going to wait for a second for the LinkedIn to kind of get synced up here, and then we're going to go live on LinkedIn as well. I thought this was going to be maybe a short show today, but I'm just there is so much going on. There is so much going on. It's not even funny. It's unbelievable. There is just a lot. There we go. LinkedIn. We should be live here on LinkedIn as well. We'll re-up everything here in a second. Yep, I think we're live on LinkedIn. There is so much. Hello, LinkedIn. What's going on? We are now live on LinkedIn, X, Facebook, Rumble, of course, and YouTube. And a lot to talk about. I wanted to talk about this before. There was a lot. I did a podcast before. There's been so much news over the weekend. I'm actually pretty positive. Things seem to be going in the right direction, in my opinion, since my last podcast about Sequoia, Shaun Maguire, Tucker Carlson, Mondami, and some of the other things that now there is. I don't know if I'm going to touch this. I mean, I'm pretty fearless, but there is the whole Amjad Masad, Keith Rabois, of Khosla Ventures storyline going on. I'm not sure. We might just barely touch that. That's pretty spicy out there. We're going to talk about Molly O'Shea, Technology Brothers. We're going to talk about Jensen Huang. We're going to talk about NVIDIA. We're going to talk about FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty Makary from Johns Hopkins. There's just so many things we're going to talk about out there. It's unbelievable. Probably going to start where we left off, which, well, no, actually the big news, the biggest news is Bill Ackman. And we will get to Shaun Maguire here in a second. And I will say props to Shaun. I think there's been a nice evolution. Maybe thanks to your buddy JDV, maybe. I don't know. I know a lot of people are looking at my stuff, checking me out, knowing what's going on, in my opinion, and I'm going to prove a little bit of that, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, and that's not the point. The point is to get the conversation where we go. I will also say that I did see Megyn Kelly and Ben Shapiro mix it up over the Epstein thing, and I thought that was pretty good clip. Pretty good clip. I saw Batya Unger said something about that. I looked at it. Now, at first, I'm like, I thought it was, I was concerned maybe it was going to be a little bit more of the same, but both of them showed up. Obviously, I take Megyn Kelly's side a little bit more in that, but I think they both acquitted themselves very well. I think it was very useful. I think it's definitely a value added. So props to both of them on that. I really do feel like we're getting in the right place. And I went out on a limb, put the rep on the line, had some strong comments after speaking truth to power, Shaun Maguire, Sequoia Capital. I mean, you don't get a bigger name than that. I mean, Kleiner, Sequoia Capital, whatever, like in the venture world. I'd like to get back in that world. And I mean, you want to talk about put yourself out there on a limb to, intellectually, rhetorically, whatever, but in a very friendly and out of love way, take a Sequoia partner to the rhetorical woodshed, if you will. I've already tanked my career at least once. I mean, that's a fast track to doing it again, assuming I could even get that plane off the ground. But I just felt like we needed to do it. I mean, if you don't stand up and say what you believe is right, and that's what I really appreciate about Shaun Maguire and many others, is they're speaking their values and stuff, and Bill Ackman and we've seen it from Shaun before. We see it, I think, the most from Bill Ackman, and I try to do this myself. Is you see an ability to attack and adjust to different arguments and new information, new data, and I think we're all getting a little bit. I'm seeing the Overton window shift a little bit more towards that, which is good, is to have the conversation. Charlie Kirk people were criticizing, he had the thing with Dave Smith and the other gentleman. I don't remember his name. I do apologize. I heard a snippet of that. That seemed to be positive. I mean, I don't know why people are getting on people for having conversations. And you can't prejudge stuff until you listen to it. But anyway, I don't want to bury the headlines. We have so many things to do here, and I do want to spend time with my wife because she's working really hard and stuff. and my kiddo. So I want to try to get through this as fast as I can. And we all know I can talk if you ever see my stuff. So, but it's usually pretty action packed verbally. Anyway, all right. So let's get right to it. So let's start with the Bill Ackman thing, and I guess we'll start with. Let me start with Shaun, because that's probably the fastest way to do it. He uses a C-SPAN clip, which is public domain. So Shaun takes up for Bill Ackman, and I did as well. And so I think let's start with Shaun, and I'll come back to Shaun, but we're going to continue on the Bill Ackman thing, if that makes sense. Okay. So let's do that. And props to all these dudes, and I've interacted with most of the people we're talking here to some degree. I'm nobody, dude. The fact that these dudes are yeah, I'm a super G. I mean, I could upplay and downplay myself depending on what it is, but I do. I try to have as much experience. Like I love to say, my wife hates when I say it, but like I said, I'm nobody. I just know a lot of things, know a lot of people. I've done a lot of things. I have incredible capability, super genius, all the above. Whatever. But at the same time, I recognize that, hey, I'm in Florida living a relatively slightly better than normal life, if you will, have done some incredible things. And here's some of the world, people in the headlines, billionaires, whatever, that are engaging with me. And I do appreciate that and whatever. Now I've got my plans. We're going to make the comeback as one of my best friends who, in law school, Aaron Salou, used to call me the Phoenix, because anytime you count me out, I'm going to come back, because you can't hold down talent, players. And anyway, I'm getting distracted. Yeah, he's Israeli and Israeli American, whatever. Great dude. I got to catch up with him. He's awesome. All right, let's get to it. So here is Shaun Maguire talking about Bill Ackman. Let's go to this right here. I hope this, and this is now you will notice. Oh, we're into this already. In my opinion, it's a different tone from the last time. I think we're having an evolution of Shaun Maguire, and I like the story arc. Let's go with it. Without further ado, here we go, players. And I'm going to go through this and stop it and give some commentary. Oh, excuse me. I apologize. I am Sharon. Okay, we're good. Yeah, we're good. All right, I was ahead of the game. I thought I was behind the game, but ahead again. Now I have to see. I have like 20 tabs open, so I've got to try to find this here without closing anything. Oh gosh, Keith Rabois. Oh my God. And we have JD. We have so much. You got to stick with. We have so much show here. If you're catching this later, you're going to want to, you can fast forward in different parts. And here we go. Let's start with Shaun Maguire.
What's up, world? It's your new best friend, Shaun Maguire.
Hold on. Let me get my settings right. Something may be off in the sound settings. Let me make sure we've got everything going on here. Okay. Yeah. We don't want that. We want this. Let's see if this works. 1 second. I've now made the adjustment. Let's go back.
What's up, world? It's your new best friend, Shaun Maguire.
Your new best friend. I love it. Listen, I love the embrace of the tongue-in-cheek, the anti-hero, the kind of like, to use wrestling parlance, it's almost like The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin, which, the biggest stars of wrestling, or Hollywood Hogan, or even embracing the heel turn or something. I don't know. I'm not saying that. Again, this is not like, it's just wrestling parlance. If you don't know pro wrestling, then maybe, let me take that back, because it may not make sense. I don't want to be misconstrued. And I will say this, we're dealing with some hot issues here, players. We're dealing with it live. If I make a mistake, I probably will make a mistake. I make mistakes every day. We're all human. One's perfect, right? And so I do apologize ahead of time. I'm trying to do my best. Peace, love, opportunity, freedom, equality for everybody. And we just got to talk through it. We're having some fun. All for entertainment purposes, not alleging facts, not casting any aspersions. With that, let's go back. Shaun Maguire, ladies and gentlemen, partner, Sequoia Capital, PhD, physics, Caltech. International man of mystery a little bit. This guy has a serious background, and the more we learn, dude. And we got to give him props. This guy, as he says, tip of the spear, been around the world. I mean, it's no joke. I mean, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, we all have our expertise. And so when Shaun talks about certain things, and, like the old E.F. Hunting thing, I listen, because, I mean, dude's been there. Here we go.
On another third rail topic, Jeffrey Epstein. I'm incredibly stupid. I should not be doing this. I'm going against the most popular man in the world.
dude, who does he sound like? You know you're checking this. I'm not alleging anything. It wouldn't surprise me if you're checking stuff out, Shaun Maguire. We all like to hear about ourselves anyway. Come on now. And if someone did something on JDV, you know I'd be checking it out. Here we go.
World, Tucker Carlson. But I think it's important for America. I think there are outside forces, specifically China, whose strategy is to destroy America from within.
Now, see, this is an interesting thread. And I'm not alleging anything, but now we're starting to talk about the three, four, fifth degree, a dimension chess, whatever like that. And I'm not going to obviously have time to play the whole thing. I do recommend all of these sources. Check them out yourselves. Make your own conclusion. Interesting discussion right here. Let's continue with this.
To make us hate each other. They're doing everything they can to sow division. They want to weaken American allies. Israel's a core American ally. I'll make the case a little bit in this video, but it's not very hard to make.
Of course, Israel's a great ally. We know there's no doubt about it. And this is the thing. People get all fired up. Don't play yourselves. Okay? I mean, this is what I'm saying. We know there's a lot of bots on X. Elon and the team are doing the best they can. And what I really don't like is that people it becomes this binary universe, right, wrong, I'm here, a Democrat, Republican, whatever, and almost unwillingness to engage immediately with the aspersions, immediately with the you're this, you're that, you're a bad person, it's that, whatever, without listening. And it's so easy to play people, bro, and it's not even it now. And the other thing is that the nature of the internet, and I'm not going to get into any specifics, but I've been in media and I've done things at the elite level, maybe not ultra elite, but at the very, everything from major market talk radio, national TV, writing articles for newspapers, different things like that. I've been successful. I have 63 million views on my YouTube videos. I've been successful at every medium that I've tried. Obviously not crazy successful because I still, I'm like a normal person. I'm not a millionaire and all that type of stuff. Been very close to the brass ring on many. We're hoping players, but we're doing what we're doing. And again, I did, in my opinion, it wouldn't surprise me if I got canceled out of Silicon Valley, when I was super hot for my level, all very relative. You see these $100 million deals and we applaud them. We applaud them, players. Go out there and get that bag, no doubt about it. But anyway, the point of it is that, look, I think that it's very important to understand that to understand the reality of each situation, and I'll take a minute here because I want to be precise. You understand what I'm saying? I want to be precise about what I say before I wade into something. So just bear with me on that. I may even take literally like 30 seconds of dead air or plus or minus sometimes, but we'll keep it rolling. If you're in the media business, you have two jobs: be entertaining and compelling. Compelling and entertaining. Compelling, can I get your attention? Entertaining, can I hold your attention? That's the job. And sometimes people will, do thumbnails for clicks or headlines for clicks or engagement traps or I used to work at the desk at CNN and stuff like that. I've been in the news and stuff at the bureau in San Francisco. Greg Lefebvre, Don Knapp, Rusty Dornan, McManus, all that, all those people. I knew all those people. And when I was in law school at Berkeley, and it was like, again, not them, just forget about them. Let's put that to the side. But the saying in the news is if it bleeds, it leads, for local news and stuff. And so there's this incentive for the headline, the grabbing, the negative type of thing. So, it's like in George Orwell, the 2 minutes of hate and stuff like that. So you can't let yourself get played on that type of stuff. You know what I mean? And so anyway, so that doesn't excuse anything. And as I said in one of my things, when I talk about anything serious, I'm an entertainer and I can play it up. I can do different things. I can, I've got to find that CM Punk. I've got to find that CM Punk thing. And it was basically, I probably can't play it, but I mean, it was basically, he was getting into it with the fan and this and that. And the fan was all mad. And then he goes like this. like fish hook to his chick. It's like, I got you. It's like, that's the job, dude. It's the work. Okay. So now on anything serious, so sometimes, I'll do the thing and I'll be entertained, stuff like that. But I'm very authentic anyway, and very, very honest. I'm probably one of the most authentic, honest people that I know of, in my opinion. And that's obviously I'm biased, but in dealing with anything serious, I think it's very important to be very, very as straight up and authentic as you can. It's okay to still be a little bit entertaining, but you have to do anyway. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to delay this anymore. So, this is about seeing the many different layers and understanding it from many different aspects and where people are sitting. I try to, I was very, very, very good at sales, right? And so one of the top of the nation for luxury auto, stuff like that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And people are like, what's the secret? There's no secret. You just put yourself in the position of the buyer. How would I want to be, golden rule, right? How would I want to be treated if I'm a buyer? And, what are they looking for? What are they, and how and just show the work, show that you're working hard, and be honest and authentic. It's the same thing. It's the old saying, right? If you don't lie, you don't have to worry about what story you told. And all the rest. Okay, you get it. So let's continue here with Shaun. There's so much to get through here, but I'm trying to unpack the many, many different layers and levels here.
And I think that we would be fools to play right into this hand, or right into this strategy. Here's Tucker.
Pomegranate juice, by the way.
House in Manhattan.
Watered down.
Not acceptable.
He's using C-SPAN, public domain. Turning Point USA, Student Action Summit in Florida. Charlie Kirk put on a great event over there. The audio is going to be really kind of low here, so if you can't, I may have to interpret some of this, but I didn't want to this is this is the easiest clip that I can find, sort of all in one, if you will, as opposed to finding that clip and then coming back. And so bear with me here. We'll see if we can get this going here.
And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of Intel Services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being...
So you're talking about Intel Services. How do you get the money?
A math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree, to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government.
So there's a lot of stuff that went, so there's a lot of people had a lot of reactions to that. Okay. In fact, Tucker may have it got called out, and he invited someone, there's a lot of stuff that I'm going to try to fast forward to the Bill Ackman stuff. I will put here where Shaun brings up some good points about COVID and some other stuff like that. We'll come back to Shaun. I want to continue on the Bill Ackman thing. So I'm trying to get to the Bill Ackman stuff here as fast as I can. Let's see. Am I still on that? Okay. No, 1 second. Let's see.
China's closest allies are Russia and Iran. All right, let's see. I got some content here. Remember?
So now, okay, the COVID stuff. So he talks about China, COVID. He talked about different things. Tip of the spear. He was out there and did some different things. It's a good podcast. And he talks about some different stuff and how he knew someone in China, and they went over there and they were doing motorcycles, and it was super cool. They were super excited. And as time went on, it's like, hey, I'm not so excited anymore. There's all kinds of different things. I'll let Shaun speak for himself. He has much, much more. I have no experience. I've never been to China, so I don't know, and stuff. And he talks about, you can look at the stuff here from Shaun. I thought he had something on Bill Ackman here. Maybe he talked about it. Maybe I fast forwarded, and I do apologize on that. But, at one point, Tucker called out Bill Ackman, and I got to try to find that sound. So I do apologize. I thought that was in this somewhere, and I may have erred on that, but that's okay. I think I'll go to the Bill Ackman thing and I'll find that. So I would say, go check that out from Shaun Maguire. That was very interesting. So let's go here. Then Bill Ackman, let me, oh geez. Yeah, I can't do this live. It's just going to take too much time. Let me go to the Bill Ackman thing. I do apologize to the audience here. I think Bill Ackman's got the quote anyway. So he Bill Ackman's a great writer. And it's funny, during my last show, Bill Ackman actually DM'd me. I won't go into the contents of that, but during the show, and again, like, this guy has 1.8 million followers, and he's multiple billionaire and stuff like that. I definitely appreciate that from Bill Ackman over here. Yeah. This is it right here. This is okay. Perfect. Thank you, God. Sometimes it all works, right? Here we go. So Bill Ackman has this right here, and then Bill Ackman responded to this, and I have to find my other Bill Ackman thing I've got uploaded. But here's where Tucker Carlson, again, C-SPAN, public domain. Here's where Tucker Carlson talks about Bill Ackman, and let's go to this, and hopefully we're gonna have a good sound on this. Here we go.
They're getting rewarded for it.
Yeah.
The unfairness of it drives you crazy. And it's particularly galling in the case of Jeffrey Epstein and the whole constellation of people around Jeffrey Epstein, all of whom seem to be getting away with scams. And how do you know they're getting away with scams? I'll tell you how, because they're useless and they're rich. So how do you come to a place where some of the least impressive, most useless people who have no actual skills become billionaires?
Okay, now time out. Now, number one, I don't know why he put Bill Ackman into this mix at all. Number two, now I'll say this, and I have disclaimers on this. I've exchanged emails with Bill Ackman. I've exchanged emails with Tucker Carlson a long time ago. Okay. It could have been a Facebook message. It was some kind of communication like that over email. Never met him in person. Never talked to him on the phone. But I do know, having been, I was a relatively, for my level, relatively big name in the conservative scene, if you will. Still a name in the conservative scene to some extent. I've worked directly on campaigns. I've literally been paid by U.S. Senate campaigns, coast to coast. Okay. I've known Bo Snerdley. I don't want to give the real name, of the Rush Limbaugh show, in person, met with them several times. I mean, Colonel Allen West, Rick Santorum. There's lots and lots of names I can throw out, right? Kayleigh McEnany is exchanged email. I mean, Jedediah Bila has been on my show. I'm in those circles of the outside, at the very edge of the Elon-esque VC type circles, and certainly much more so on the political realm. Now, I haven't done it for a minute, but I know a fair amount of people that know Tucker. I've been a Tucker fan for a long time. I think that Tucker post CNN show, post Crossfire, he did it. There was an evolution of the show, the public persona. I think he has said that himself. For the haters out there of Tucker, and I'm not saying anyone I'm talking about here, but there's some. Let me put it another way. Let me start that again. For the Tucker critics, let me tell you, Tucker is one of, if not the most, still to this day, important and impactful voices in the MAGA movement, on the right, on the conservative movement. That's just a fact in terms of viewership, in terms of thought leadership, in terms of audience, plus impact in DC. There are some people with big audiences that are not going to move the needle in DC. Like, they may have a big audience, but no one's really listening to them in DC. Does that make sense? I'm not going to name names like that. I'm going to speak truth to power here as I did in the thing with Bill Ackman. Assuming I could get any kind of traction whatsoever, and assuming I wanted to get back in the conservative movement, Tucker could make my life, like, it could ruin my career right there real quick. I'd love to work with Bill Ackman. I'd love to work with Tucker Carlson. I'd love to work with all of these people and stuff like that. So I'll put my cards on the table on that. I have some concerns where Tucker is right now, but I also, give me a second. I want to be precise on this. I think some humility needs to exist, and some mercy and patience. And I did plead for forgiveness on behalf of Tucker to Bill Ackman. Not to say that Tucker asked me to do it, he needed to do it. Here's why. Here's what I mean by that. You know, this is not going to be precise, and I apologize ahead of time. But I just want to make a short. I need to get through this as rapidly as I can for these purposes of the show. I was depends on how you want to count that. I was a 3-time national champion, and I won best lifter at the national championships, which is even better. So, I mean, it depends on how you want to count that. I've talked about that before, Tom. So I've seen it both ways. You could say it either way. But for shorthand, sometimes I'll just say 4-time. But it's, but I was a multiple national champion, and I was third in the world at the world championships, and I was crazy strong, right? Very, very accomplished, trained a lot of pro athletes, etc. Undefeated my last year of wrestling, qualified for nationals in judo. I mean, I was that guy, right? If someone came up to me in the gym, say, "Hey, John, how do you do this? Can you help me? Can you help me with squat technique, whatever?" And they were kind of messing up, and they kind of didn't know anything, and maybe they were young, or they just hadn't worked out before, whatever. I'm not going to just like blast them for their technique or put them through like one of my most grueling workout, and then they're going to like be overtrained and never want to come to the gym again. You know what I mean? So, yeah, like, Shaun Maguire, if you've done, which I'm sure you've done, all the things you've done, Bill Ackman's do you think Tucker has had $9 billion? He don't have no $9 billion. Do you think he knows how to take over a company and buy stuff and do hedge funds and stuff like that? Maybe he does. As good as Bill Ackman? I don't think so. I doubt it. Do you think that Sequoia Capital is looking to hire, Tucker Carlson? Does he have a PhD from Caltech? Now, Tucker Carlson's, now put it the other way. Tucker Carlson knows a hell of a lot more about politics in DC and media and stuff than either one of those two dudes. So we all have to respect each other for our particular strengths. The great thing about me is I understand various amounts of these worlds, and I can interpret between the different worlds. That's my thing. I mean, if I'm like the polymath, if that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? The criticisms of me is hey, I can't stick to one thing. I'm interested in so many different things, and it's all true. That's the downside of being a super Jew. I'm interested in all kinds of stuff, right? And I refuse to be like I'm the a classic entrepreneur, right? I mean, that's corporate job may not be the best fit, so I had to kind of make my own through life, if that makes sense. Although I've done pretty well actually in some white shoe corporate jobs too. So in my opinion, anyway, not about me. So what I'm trying to put some perspective on is, if you're super smart, you need to be empathetic in understanding where someone is. So Tucker may make mistakes. He may make big mistakes. Okay. And I've called him out. And props to Tucker. Let me put, there's no way Tucker could be as successful as he is coming from Fox. Because listen, I don't want to, no disrespect, but who was Fox's biggest star for a long time? Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly went out on his own. How did that go? It's going okay. It's not like Tucker Carlson. And there's plenty of other people that went on their own. So the fact that Tucker Carlson is that popular, almost like Oliver Anthony, rich man north of Richmond, he's speaking to so many people. The point is, if you think you're going to and I said this, if you think you're going to come in and write off Tucker Carlson or his audience, it's just not going to like, you don't have a coalition anymore for MAGA. It just won't be there in anything that's viable. You may not like that, but that's just the fact. So you can say, okay, well, you could talk about Candace Owens, who has a huge audience too. I'm not dissing you, Candace Owens. I'm not calling you out, whatever. But I mean, I don't really listen to Candace's stuff. That's just not my thing. It's not my thing. I'm not, again, she probably ruined my, again, whatever. But whether it's Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, Matt Walsh, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, whatever, you have to respect everyone for their audience. They're not making people listen to them. Now, some may advertise a lot and they put their stuff out there. That's whatever. But the point is, again, I learned this from Rush Limbaugh, and the great Rush Limbaugh. You have to respect the audience. If they didn't make you, they can't break you. There are some people that, are top down and they've got the machine and they're heavily funded and they're going to jam up your feed because there's, maybe they're spending $100,000 or more per month to put their stuff out there and boost it and stuff like that. And then there's other people that just are there. Joe Rogan, had some money and stuff like that from UFC and had done the Fear Factor and had done some, but I mean, Joe Rogan built that thing from the ground up, brother. Yeah, he may have had a little bit of seed capital. Yeah, maybe Bill Ackman had a little seed capital. Hey, maybe Donald Trump had some seed capital. But the fact that all these people have made incredible successes of themselves, you just got to give respect to it. You just have to give respect to it. So anyway, I'm going on a little bit, but I hope that framework, that mental framework, is very important in walking through this, in my opinion. Okay. So you just can't understand the rest of this stuff if you don't have that key, if you will. Okay, so let's continue with this. I'll let him speak for himself. So again, Bill Ackman, he's talking about this. So he talked about it. I would not have, I don't know. You went into that preamble there about Epstein, and then he goes into this. Now I don't know. Again, people make mistakes when they're alive. He seemed to have some different facts. It seemed to I don't know. I don't know what happened here. And I can't get into Tucker's. I have no idea. This surprised me as much as everyone. Here we go. He's about to talk about Bill Ackman. I'm going to let it go from here and then we'll comment.
How's that legitimate? And by the way, if you ask this question, at least in Washington, it's like, oh, well, yeah, it sounds like you're a socialist. Sounds like socialism. Yeah, okay, I'm a socialist now. All right. I was a Qatari agent or a bigot. Now I'm a socialist. All right. Leaving aside my committed socialism, can you answer the question?
Okay, so Tucker says that he has no investors. So he's not, and he so the whole thing with the Qatar stuff, he said that he's no investors. He said that somewhere else. I mean, I'll leave that alone. So, I mean, I think he feels like, well, again, I'm not going to say I have no idea, but I mean, there's been, this back and forth, Tucker Carlson and stuff. There's been this back and forth. And listen, I mean, he calls out Bill Ackman, and Bill Ackman responds to him, and Shaun Maguire, and it just, it just becomes this round and around stuff. It's almost like who's on first type of deal. Abbott and Costello type of thing. I mean, it's like, here we go.
How did Bill Ackman get $9 billion? Bill Ackman, a pretty impressive guy.
Yeah, actually, he's a very impressive guy, player. What are you talking about, Tucker? What are we doing here?
I know Bill Ackman. No. Bill Ackman's well-connected and super aggressive. That's it.
Yeah, that's not it, bro. I mean, come on, dude. Are you kidding me? I mean, come on, dude. Someone had this too. Paul Graham of Y Combinator and stuff like that. And I hope I'm not wrong, but I mean, I made this comment on Paul Graham's. He said, listen, I'm not a fan of Bill Ackman. And I have to find this. This is my personal opinion. Paraphrase, recollection. I could be wrong, but this is my recollection of something like, I think he's not a fan of Bill Ackman or Tucker Carlson. But listen, Bill Ackman's been right again and again and again and again. You can't be right that many times without having something there to it. And I totally agree with that. And I appreciate Paul saying that. I think that's exactly right. I mean, it's so here we go.
And I think, well-connected, super aggressive people deserve a fair living like everybody else. But if you're accruing $9 million just because you're willing to do anything,
what are we doing, Tucker? What are you doing, bro? What are you doing, bro?
I don't know why we have to pretend that's good.
So Bill responds, as only Bill can. Very detailed, very smart. you know, I'm very voluminous and, you know, speak at large volume of words, but I didn't even get through all this, but I did appreciate Bill kind of highlighting some stuff in the organization, and I did parse through some of it, but I didn't read all this extremely deeply here, but I did, you know, go through it. But it was like, you know, he basically goes through his life story and kind of how he did it and how and all that, and you know, extremely impressive as you would expect. And it was very, very good. Oh yeah. Okay. I had it right here. And then I responded to it, and mine was very long. So I mean, I understand people don't want to read all my stuff like that too. So sometimes, you know, it's easier to do the podcast thing. Okay, Tucker Carlson went on a rant yesterday, Turn Point USA, and suggested that I wasn't just Jeffrey Epstein's constellation of people. Bill Ackman's a heck of a writer, bro, who have been getting away with scams, having the most useless people, blah, blah, blah. He talked about that, how to get blah, blah, blah. So so this is everything that we heard. In order to address, you know, I just want to share some facts. So he talks about what happened here. So it's like, okay, he's like, I never met Jeffrey Epstein, flew in his planes, went to any of his parties or properties, or interacted with him ever. Okay. And then he goes on to talk about his wife. He talks about how he made his money. He talks about he had good genes and parents. I've said these kind of things. You know, I've got to thank my God and my parents for my super genius ability. But other than that, you know, and I guess, you know, obviously my physical abilities, but I've worked really hard and stuff like that. And Bill goes through how he worked hard and stuff and what he did stuff and did since 10. And I was like, hey, I was like that too. I put an ad in the Claytor Recorder for a handyman and lawn cutting services and all that type of stuff. So I can get my money, go buy my comic books and stuff like, and all that. So I appreciate that. The dude was working hard. He went, he paid for his tuition, did the Harvard thing, did all that. Yeah. His dad gave him a little bit of money, but you know, and it, you know, okay. Now, granted, you know, not everyone can have parents that can give him $100,000 in a truck. So that's fine. But I mean, he's made $9 billion. He talked about, I went out there with Gotham Partners and he hustled and he cold called people and he called 100 people and stuff. And he raised $2.8 million. And dude, he did his thing. He did his thing. Yeah. You know, he was Harvard MBA, Harvard undergrad, Harvard MBA. Parents had some kind of money, whatever like that. So maybe obviously through that, maybe there was some kind of, but he's out there hustling. But how many people go to Harvard, Princeton, Yale, all these other, Berkeley, Caltech, Stanford, all the others, and they fail miserably or don't do anything near this. They just go to do some corporate job. Give the man his props, bro. Give the man his props. Come on, 9.4 billion dollars, dude. And the dude taking his time here, going through this and talking about stuff and working through it and what he did and how he did it and talk about his initial investment in Pershing Square and then the management company and then, you know, going through all this type of stuff and how much money he's given away. I think he said he gave away like something like $1 billion or something like that. The dude's out there. He's playing tennis. He's talking to people. He's helping entrepreneurs. He's going to the Oracle of Omaha's meetings and all this type of stuff. I mean, dude, he's great. And you may agree or disagree with all this stuff. He's made some, you know, we all make mistakes out there, but I appreciate what I love about Bill is he is willing to, strong proponent of President Trump's ultimate decision, take out the new capability with Tucker Post, strong voice in support of Israel. Perhaps that's why he attacked me yesterday. Tucker owes me an apology. I agree. And I said that. I know I'm not getting one. Well, you can read what he said. This is Bill Ackman's words, not him. And, okay. Well, wow. Useless billionaires are bad. Harmful millionaires are definitely worse. That's his statement. Now I'll read what I wrote on this. Now, look, Bill has what I appreciate Bill is that Bill will take a position sometimes. And then when there's pushback, sometimes he'll come back with, hey, here's proposal B, here's proposal C, and he will mentally negotiate or adjust and stuff like that. I'd like to hope, maybe believe that I've been able to on certain issues, perhaps moderate or temper or sway or adjust the discussion in some of these proposals. My proposal was in line with, at the end of the day, myself, Bill Ackman, Bacha Unger, Charlie Kirk, and Trump were basically in line with the Trump policy. Obviously, President Trump makes the policy. We all know that. He's the president. And so I appreciate that about Bill. And I think Bill is, and I like to believe myself, are much more, game recognized game, are much more apt to look at the data, keep our ears open and adjust and think about what's right. And I think that this is a whole different conversation, but to the extent, like, I can understand. I think there's so much nuance in the whole Middle East thing, and I don't want to get into that, again. But I think that, some of the things that Maguire, Ackman, Lonsdale, and some others are saying have been a little more persuasive to me of late. But I think that's still very, very tricky. And I think that, again, my whole thing is I want peace, freedom, liberty, opportunity, equality, respect, everything, safety for everybody. But you do look at some stuff over there in the Middle East. And, of course, you have the New York mayoral election, Mandami. You see stuff with the squad. You see stuff going on in LA. You see some different things on there. And there's cause for, and again, and Shaun with talking about potentially the issues, with China and stuff like that. And there's cause for concern. And as the one person, I do apologize, I can't remember his name. Started with an H, I believe, at the Charlie Kirk thing. It's when you're president of the United States, you can't, you can't be an outright passive, like there. We don't want foreign wars. We want peace. We absolutely want as much peace as we can get, but you can't be a complete isolationist either, right? Sometimes there's things that you have to defend the country, and you can't just, so it's tricky. Anyway, I want to keep the show moving because there's so much to do here, and it's getting a little longer. So. But that's a step. Now, what did I say about that? I'm like, oh man, I didn't have that on my bingo card, right? I just did a whole thing. I'm like, okay, I've done talking about the Middle East thing for a while here. I did the Shaun Maguire thing. I saw Shaun's, and then it's like, and to Shaun's credit, he gained a lot more followers and stuff like that. And so I think, again, people's audiences find themselves. Like, I think there's Shaun's gotten a lot of heat, but at the same time, like, he's got a lot of followers there. So everyone's got to respect each other's audiences. So, I went out on a limb and I said some stuff here. Is this the right one? I have so many things open. I think maybe let's try it. No. That's another thing. Okay. We're going to get to that later. That's Molly O'Shea. Sorcery VC, she's awesome. Okay, I got to try to find this here. I responded to this, and I went very long, and I'm just going to extremely briefly go on this here, but just to show you kind of some of what I was saying here, I've got to try to find this here. That's not it. This might be it. Let's see. So I was pretty disappointed when I heard this from Tucker Carlson as a key voice of MAG movement, GOP politics. People can quibble who's number one. Tucker is a top tier influencer. So we talked about that, right? So you can't write off Tucker. You just can't write off Tucker. And I talked about Tucker 2.0. And I also said, listen, I'm not saying Tucker. Well, I said my personal opinion there is sometimes a little bit more of a performative aspect, but that's called being a pro broadcaster. That's why I took some time at the beginning here. That is the job. That is part of the job. You have to understand that. You may not like it, but that's part of the job. Okay, as a professional broadcaster. And so what I said is I try to do it I try to be as authentic and non-performant as possible on serious issues. Right. And I default as a very honest, authentic person, in my opinion. Right. And I talk about, and I also talk about, different things there. The other thing is that Tucker is it, I think people get, and I understand this, but people might get focused on one or two policies that Tucker's talking about, or one or two issues. Tucker's talking about a ton of issues in that speech. Two-tier justice, American first, end of foreign wars, foreign aid, modern U.S. politics, lots of stuff. Now, I don't know why you throw a bill in there, but what I'm saying is that Tucker's speaking, take all the Middle East stuff out of it for a second. Entirely. The Ted Cruz, take all that out. Tucker is talking about people from East Palestine, North Carolina, Texas. Tucker's, the forgotten person. Tucker's talking about a lot of different things. Tucker has seen how broken DC is. He's seen the uniparty. He's seen, the fakeness of the mainstream media. Tucker is an absolute expert on those things and can talk to those things. So if there's, if sometimes there's a little bit of a imprecision or maybe not perfect wording and stuff like that, I mean, I think you still have to appreciate the overall message and don't get lost in that. So I'm not, but I think he was wrong with that. And I said, I think Tucker owes Bill Ackman an apology, and I talked about him arguing, and talk about that Trump policy. We talked about that. Lot to say. Okay. We talked about that. I think Bill's great. Talk about that. Yes. I think Tucker should apologize to Bill. There's no need to bring Bill up or personalize in his speech. I don't think it added anything to Tucker's message. I don't think, why would you even bring it up? I don't think it added anything to Tucker. It wasn't needed. It wasn't needed. And Bill's the coolest guy. I'm not here to do an ad for Bill Ackman or anything like that. I mean, I'm not, I like Bill Ackman, dude. I think he's a good dude. Do I know? I mean, he's been cool to me. I've spoken to him. I haven't gone to dinner with him. I don't know him personally. You know what I mean? But from what, I'm a pretty good judge. I've been around a lot of billionaires or been one level away or know a lot of people, he's one of the coolest, most down to earth billionaires that I have observed, and I've seen or known or been one step away from a lot. Okay. For a non-billionaire. So that's good. And again, we gotta stop calling names and impugning people's motives and stuff like that, whatever. Bill's out there. I believe Bill is out there trying to live his best life, trying to maybe enjoy life. We all want to make up for lost time if we were focused on this. I don't know. I'm not psychoanalyzing anyone. I'm just saying, but whether it's tasting great food overseas or doing the tennis thing or having time with his family, whatever like that. But he will engage with people. He will help people that he doesn't need. He sure as heck didn't need to talk to me, and I'm not trying to name drop, boost myself, pat myself on the back. I say that because I want to be as authentic and transparent as possible to show where my potential bias might be and stuff like that. But I thought Bill was cool before I ever talked to Bill. Just observing it, just seeing the way the dude moves. You know what I'm saying? Like JD Vance. I've never talked to JD. I have no communication with JD Vance. I think he's great. I would push for JD Vance immediately and early on. And the dude has been all that in a bag of chips. Okay. I see the way the dude reacts and moves. And we'll talk about JD Vance. We have JD Vance news too. So does that make sense? You know what I mean? Now, sometimes it can go players, it can go the other way. As the old saying goes, don't meet your heroes, because I've had times where you see people and they have this public persona, it's a great, and this and that, whatever. And then all of a sudden, people, I'm not going to use specific names, but Hollywood and politics are known for that. Okay. So there were some big names that had big shows on Hollywood, and then, things started coming out, and Maybe the off camera is a little different than the on camera. So when I spoke to Bill, all I can tell you is, now in fairness to him and to me, I did most of the talking, which is terrible, and I didn't want to do that, and I apologize to you, Bill. And that was like the episode 1,000 whatever of me, probably messing up my life, whatever like that. But he was very patient and very cool, and just listen and stuff like that. Now, of course, when he talked, believe me, I shut up. Or I tried to, Bill. But the point is that what I found him to be is every bit as cool, if not cooler than what I saw on TV or something like that. And that's all you can ask, bro. That's all you can ask. So anyway, I don't want to get swerved on that. And I think they're both great people. I think they're both very concerned. This is my personal opinion, speculation only, not alleging anything, about what's going on in the world. Tucker's very, well, revise and extend that. Let me restart. And I don't know. What's in either one of their heads. I don't know. Tucker says, this current arc, I mean, in some ways, Tucker's out there taking on things that no one else is saying in the way that he's saying them, and with his level, and they need to be said. In some ways, I'm kind of concerned with some of the things that Tucker is saying, stuff like that. And I think that like this, and I think he needs to take a minute and take a beat and just chill. And sometimes you get so caught up because you're so busy and you're doing so many things and you're successful. And like I think Brian Kilmeade talked about this. I mean, he does so many different jobs, and it's like, and he's like, hey, I'm afraid that the carousel will end. And media's tough. I mean, media. The other thing you have to understand, players, media. You lose your audience like this. You can get fired like this. I mean, it is high volatility. So when you're hot, you want to keep riding it. But sometimes all of us, whatever, if you're working too hard, you got to get out. You got, especially if you're too chronically online, you got to get out and hit the beach, breathe a little bit. Now I have seen or said, some videos of Tucker going out there and fly fishing. Again, I'm not here to psychoanalyze anyone or anything like that. Okay. But I think that some days are better than others for all of us. Anytime you're working live, you're going to make mistakes. I don't know what's going on in either one of their heads, but I was disappointed in this. And I would love to see them both sit down and have a conversation. I would be fascinated by that. I would pay money to see that, honestly, players. I would probably pick up the PPV on that one. I think that would be really, really interesting to see that. So if that makes any kind of sense, let's continue. Here's what I said. Dude, my TLDRs are almost as long as my posts. We're not going to go through all this, but I'm like, look, Tucker should apologize to Bill. It's rarely a good look to trash someone else personally when discussing policy, even mentioning someone powerful or famous. Bill's a great American, embodies the American dream. Tucker's very important voice in conservative media, but everyone's got to re-earn that audience every day. No one's perfect. Stop the personal attacks. Bill, I hope you can forgive Tucker. I think it's win-win if you go on the show if you want to. Bill's response here is appropriate and helpful. It's great to learn more about his background. I love this stuff, dude. This is great. Let's hear it. Let's hear the story background stuff. I want to know more about Shaun Maguire. I want to know more about Charlie Kirk and Bill Ackman and Trump and Milan and all of them. Let's go. We got to stop responding and chasing the outrage of the day. It's cool to engage in vigorous debate to wrestle with the issues of the day and advance knowledge, but I think this was a low blow to Bill, and that was uncalled for. Disclosures. I've explained that, they've exchanged email, talked to him. I invited Bill on the show. I talked about that. I talked about this. All my personal opinion, only knowledge, any facts, casting spurs, anyone discuss public failure, blah, 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 all that type of stuff. Peace, love, prosperity for all. Okay. So that's what I attended that. And so, and then, Maguire and Shaun were like, hey, they're each fans of each other and stuff like that. There was some other commentary from that. A lot of people were talking about that. But I wanted to close the loop on that. I thought that was important to talk about. I'm going to close down some of these windows so I don't have so many windows open up. Give me a second here. I'm going to be a little bit off camera. Well, I'm on camera, but I'm not looking at what I'm doing there. I'm focusing on the next topic. I just want to close some of these so that it's a little bit more easy for me to parse through some of these things here. Okay. All right. Now, one second, players. I'm just trying to make a game time decision. I'm calling an audible here. All right. I'm going to put this out there for your review on your own time, because I'm not going to get into all the specifics of it. There's some rough stuff out there. And then listen, whether it was on Bill, on Shaun Maguire, on Charlie Kirk, on some of my stuff, you know what I mean? On Keith Rabois, on Ackman Masad, there's been, I apologize if I'm saying their names wrong. I do apologize. There's been some rough stuff out there, players, and we all need to do better. And okay, I know how I'm going to set this up. And I'm only laughing just because there's at least we all can, make fun of ourselves. Stuff like that. Dylan Asperov, a Founders Fund, who sometimes can play the VC heel in his own words, I think, has said this. Let me see if I can find this. Let me see. And then we'll go to Shaun Maguire. Excuse me. Well, here we go. Then we'll go to Keith Rabois. Okay, Delian Asperov. This was a little bit ago, but I'm under mentioned last time, but I wasn't able to. Delian Asperov. I'm very happy to not be the controversial VC main character for once. Thank you, Shaun. I love that. Well played, Mr. Asperov. Well played. To which Shaun had a comment. Bobby O'Shea, so no comment on Bill Gurley. MOS is strong. We'll get back to MOS in a second. Shaun Maguire, I guarantee you will regain the throne, and then we'll do a podcast together. Oh my God. I love it. Very, very well played to all involved. To that, perhaps, Mr. Keith Rabois, and perhaps, he's not in VC, so okay. But perhaps Mr. Keith Rabois said, metaphorically speaking, hold my beer. Because Keith Rabois, it is got, and I can't, players, I'm not going to get into all this, and I will put this up without commentary or very minimal commentary. And I don't even want to, it's gotten rough. Okay. And I would appeal to all sides to be cool and stuff like that. And again, full disclosure, Keith has been, has liked a lot of my posts. He's here in South Florida, whatever. I like Keith. I'm a Keith fan. I think Keith does a hell of a job on some of these podcasts. Most recently, All In podcast stuff with Kalanick and the besties and stuff like that. I think Keith and I see eye to eye on a lot of things. I like Ackman Masad too, like Replit and stuff like that. Maybe he's not happy with me. I don't know. Maybe I've managed because I'm trying to be as fair and I don't know. I don't know what the right word is. I'm not to say that I have the gospel or we all have our own opinions, right? But my touchstone is, I'm proud to be an American through and through. Love the Constitution, peace, love, freedom, opportunity for everybody. Christian, Catholic, heritage, Jewish, lots and lots of Jewish friends. Half my family, hundreds of 100+ family members probably in Israel. A little over half are Aramaic, Catholic, Latin, Christian, whatever, Latin, and little less than half, I believe, are Jewish around Tel Aviv, and some spread out through the country, whatever like that. But we're all individuals. I hate all the group stuff. I love all the cultures, and I love learning about stuff, and they're all beautiful. God made everyone. No one's better, no one's worse. And I don't want to get in religion. I don't want to get in everything out here. I think that I judge everybody by themselves. I'm for peace, love, freedom, opportunity, equality for everyone. I love to find the win-win-win, and I think positivity beats negativity. But with that, I think possibly Keith Rabois on the VC thing to Dillian and these others may have said, "Hold my beer." And here we go. Now I'm not going to get in all this stuff here. And we're talking. Okay, so they're talking about how more people become a Republican and stuff like that. And there's Florida. Okay, that's good. There was some back and forth here. I don't know what I can find it. It's probably in replies here. But man, it was getting rough, dude. It was getting rough in my opinion. Closest comments is like I say this without commentary, so I'm gonna try to. But there was a back and forth. There was some back and forth. Between these two right here, and others. And look, I felt like it got a little rough. I think it got a little rough. And a lot of this is going to depend on what your point of view is. You know what I mean? And I really like Keith. I think, and I really like Amjad. I mean, I think Amjad's, I've been following his, first of all, as a founder and Replit, they're crushing it with Y Combinator and everything like that. I think Ahmed's podcast on Joe Rogan was amazing. I think it was great. A lot of people in Israel would consider my wife Palestinian, Arabic. She's actually Aramaic. But I think Ahmed's from Haifa, and I think we have one family member, at least one in Haifa, and my wife's family comes from Nazareth, which is very close. Well, of course, everything's close in Israel, but I mean, very close to Haifa. Haifa, a gorgeous city, stuff like that. And then I talked about Keith Rabois. I mean, Keith Rabois, dude's a legend, bro. Ex-PayPal, Harvard law school, very bright, part of the Miami tech scene, and really pretty much helped make the Miami tech scene for, in a realistic way. And I'm not talking about the Founders Fund, Khosla Ventures, other dudes out there. And Keith's out there doing his thing. Full disclosure again, I've emailed Keith, I've pitched him on some stuff, whatever like that. Obviously, I'd love to do business with Keith. I'd love to do business with Ahmad. I've tried to pitch Ahmad on doing stuff with Replit, stuff like that. I mean, it's just these are legends, bro. Both of them. That's what it's just a shame to see. But I've kind of evolved my thinking as well, because maybe it needed to happen. Not that specifically, and I'm not condoning any particular language and stuff like that, but I think that you can see where the nerves are so raw. And I had a friend, good friend, who's Muslim, text me. And I love everybody, bro. And definitely, I'm going to keep this super general. And he said something like, hold on, just get my phone and just kind of make sure that I've got everything. I want to characterize it as roughly accurately as possible. Okay. I'm not going to read it because I don't want to, I'm just going to characterize it in my opinion. Okay. I think that there's a view that, and let me say this, what I'm about to say may be controversial. I'm not trying to be controversial. I'm not trying to upset anyone or hurt anyone's feelings. I'm trying to, as accurately as I can, convey the different thought processes or arguments as I understand them, or maybe the underlying assumptions or viewpoints or whatever you might want to call them, in order to get to a hopefully better place. So what this person was saying is, hey, I'm all for free speech and I'm all free speech, absolutes, this and that, whatever. But what if the shoe was on the other foot? You know, you can't criticize Israel, whatever like that. And people wouldn't stand up and people, nobody stands up and does that. Not even you. And I'm thinking to myself, player, and I had a comment and I deleted it. And well, wait a minute. Time out. Let me understand this. You're calling me out, who just did an hour and a half, 2-hour podcast, to dudes that I used to be, you know, there's a partner at Sequoia that's exchanged emails with me when I'm trying to get back into tech. I'm trying to feed my family like everyone else. I'm trying to get back into VC. I have contacts that I may have burned in order to stand up for what I believe is right. Peace, love, freedom, opportunity, equality for everybody, and fair treatment, and all, and God loves everybody, all that type of stuff. And I don't want to get religious in here. And you deleted your comment. So you're calling me out. You won't even put a comment on. This is your views. Like, why do I have to champion your views? You know, I'm probably not making total sense, but you understand what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things where I know a lot, you know, but I understand. His point, I think, I'm not speaking for him, is so many people are scared to talk about this. And so many people are sellouts. He didn't say that. That's my interpretation. And it's the old saying, when good people don't stand up, if you don't stand against anything, you stand for nothing. When good people don't stand up and say something, then the world goes to heck, right? But I'm like, bro, give me some credit. I just went, you know, I've gone hammer and tong, you know, 2 hours, you know, and more, and multiple podcasts in trying to get things to a better place, man. I mean, give me some credit, please. Come on. I don't need a Nobel Prize. I don't need, you know, whatever. But I mean, like, come on, man. You've got the All In podcast. That's, I'm not alleging anything, but you know, they skipped a week by their own admission. I think maybe I'm wrong. To talk about Elon versus Trump. And I mean, you want to talk about pretty much the best people to talk about that. So, I mean, you know, some of these things are above all of our pay grade. Some of these things are really hot, bro. And I took them to the woodshed for, why didn't you talk about the Shaun Maguire story? Again, perfect. You know, I took them to the woodshed. But a lot of these people watch my stuff, or some, I am not alleging anything. Let me rephrase that. Let me start again. Let me rephrase that. I can prove to you, and I will prove to you, that a lot of these VCs and stuff see my stuff and engage with me. Okay, without getting to, I'm not going to get into personal messages and stuff like that. But I will show you the public stuff for the like, stuff like that. And okay, that's number one. I'll get into that in a second. Number two is, if you look at my arguments, then you see that. So I know I'm having an impact out there, whatever. And if I can do something to make the world a better place, even if that is at the sacrifice of my career, potential career, or whatever's left of my career, or any kind of career, or second career, or third career, and that's the right thing to do. Give me some freaking credit for that, bro. And that's why, you know, even if I don't agree with everything, I absolutely respect Shaun Maguire going out there and putting it on the line, bro. Or Ben Shapiro, or Tucker Carlson, or Bill Ackman, or Donald Trump. A lot of these people. And what I would caution people too is, remember, the people that are pumping up Trump now, it wasn't that long ago that a lot of people, maybe some of the same people, called Donald Trump a racist and all these kind of stuff, whatever, in the 45 campaign. So what I'm saying is that, you know, the name calling doesn't really solve anything. You've got to get to, people can change, people can be misinterpreted, people can make mistakes. and again, not to get religious, but I mean, the story of Christianity is a story of redemption and forgiveness, and that we are all sinners, and the only way we're going to be redeemed is through God's love and giving our lives to God, right? And sometimes I got to remind myself of that. Not remind myself, but I mean, as you get older and stuff like that, it's like, national champion, super genius. I've done this, I've done that. In the end, I'm nothing. I'm dust. I'm dust on this little rock called Earth and stuff like that. Where I'm here for a minute. All I can try to do is the best I can, and hope I end up in heaven afterwards and stuff like that. And do the best I can for my family, like all of us, dude. Whether you have $1 or $9 billion or something like that. I mean, we're all going out the same way, dude. So anyway, I don't want to get all philosophical or morbid or anything like that. So with that, give me some latitude here, because I'm going to try to interpret as best I can understand. And I apologize if I make any mistakes. I think that what some of my Jewish friends are saying is, listen, Jewish people have been persecuted for thousands of years. Israel's a promised land, and this is our home, and everything like that. And there's lots of security concerns, and the persecution continues in some respects, and maybe in many respects. Again, my language is not going to be perfect here. You just got it, because this is so complicated. I've got to get through this to have any hope of closing the show down within like 2 hours and be able to maybe kiss my wife goodnight and my daughter. And you see the comments that are very scary. Now, again, as I've said, as Shaun Maguire said, as other people have said, hey, there's a lot of bots out there. Hey, this could be a psyop, maybe from foreign government or whatever like that. So, don't let them do division. Now, one of the things I've been saying and stressing is, to people on all sides, is we cannot have the MAGA, Maha, tech bro, whatever coalition go apart. If that coalition goes apart, then guess what's going to guess what's on the other side there in Denver? Could be Mondami, could be AOC, could be Kamala Harris, could be Gavin Newsom, whatever like that. So, I mean, you may not like all the parts of the MAGA. Everyone needs everyone. People have talked about the coalition that Bibi's working under right now with, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich. And Bibi's working with what he's working with over there. And again, I don't know. I know this much about Israeli politics, stuff like that. But I mean, there's different concerns, just like Trump and Elon. The BBB, Trump wasn't able to put everything he wanted in there. He couldn't get it through. He got what he could get, and even that was a heavy lift, and it was close, players. Okay, now the best understanding that I have of the other side, or another side, is, hey, we want to govern our Palestinian folks. We want to govern ourselves. We want equal rights. Our lives matter as much as anyone else's lives and stuff like that. And there's maybe a feeling of an unfairness or oppression or something like that. I mean, I'm just trying to, again, I'm not alleging anything. I'm just trying to convey what I believe I understand as the arguments out there. And you can look at what happened in Gaza, and I mean, I think a lot of the world is saying that does not look very surgical. It looks like a parking lot. It looks like a devastation. I don't want to use I don't want to use inflammatory words like that, but it looks really, really bad. And this isn't just me saying this. This is a lot of people saying this. Even Piers Morgan and Shane's a lot of people. You know, Tim Dillon, Joe Rogan. There's tons of people that are saying this. ICC, everything like that. And so, a lot of people are like, how do we get out of this? You know, and how does everyone work together and live together in peace, love, freedom, and opportunity and harmony? Now, you take Tucker Carlson and the MAGA movement or the America First movement or the No More War movement or whatever, you know, Rand Paul, whatever you want to call it. And I think that is like, look, we're broke. Elon Musk, we're broke. We don't have the money. We've been paying for all these things, whether it's the Iraq war, Afghanistan, we're sick of all this regime change and this and that and everything like that. And it's brutal. It's never ending. You know, it's costing us money and American lives. And, you know, we can't fight with everyone. And it's no bueno. And it's not our business. We can't police the whole world. There's going to be things that are happening, good, bad, and different, that we just can't police the whole world. You know, you don't have Dubai policing the whole world. You don't have Singapore policing the whole world. You don't have Sweden, you know, all the other ones and stuff like that. And then there's other people that are like, look, you know, there's a moral obligation here. Israel's our top ally in the region, which is absolutely true. If we don't, you know, it makes sense to be, you know, we need to be engaged in certain ways. So it's a tough thing, right? And I all I'm trying to express, and maybe I've done it very imperfectly, and I don't mean anything. I'm not alleging anything. I'm not trying to cast any aspersions. I'm not, you know, I'm trying to say that without any kind of editorial, extra editorial thing or whatever, or taking sides on that. I'm just trying to communicate what I think, as I understand. I could be wrong, and I've made mistakes. I deeply apologize, and I will continue to try to do better in the future. But what I would say is, you have to try to meet people where they are and understand what their position is, and try to hear their position in good faith. And that's not always easy, right? That's not always easy, especially if you have very strong beliefs. It's not always easy, but you got to try to hear their position in good faith and see them as the human being. No one's better and no one's worse, right? And people can say like now, here's the other thing. And I've gotten to this conversations, you know, offline and stuff like that. It's like, okay, look, I mean, you had America came over here and, you know, the settlers pushed out the Native Americans and stuff like that. And then we had the, you know, the war with Mexico and all that. And Louisiana Purchase and Alaska and Hawaii and different, you know, there's different, you know, there's you know, there's a history of America, right? And at some point, you know, how far back do you rewind the clock? You know, I mean, at some point, we're gonna have that. World's gonna have that conversation in Ukraine with Russia. I mean, you know, we're gonna find out what happens there, and I don't have a perfect answer on that. You know, all I can say is you got to try to do the best you can and do right by people and whatnot. Now, coming back to all this and being able to move forward, but that's my best, I don't know if we call it steel man or whatever, but good faith explanation of positions. Maybe the, you know, more moderate positions, I think, that I can contemplate right now, and I hope I did that some kind of justice. But what I would say is, in, you know, coming out of this era of wokeness and cancel culture and stuff like that, we don't want to move from one cancel culture to the other. You know, the First Amendment says you have a right to free speech and a right to protest and assemble and a right to religion. So, you know, you've got a right to be Catholic or Christian or atheist or Muslim or Jewish or Hindu or Buddhist or whatever, Zoroastrian, you know, or whatever, agnostic. You've got a right to protest peacefully. You have a right to say whatever you want about, you know, almost anything you want, certainly any country or foreign country or politician here, there, anywhere, wherever you want to say it. was subject to the very, very, not giving legal advice, not licensed in Florida, not practiced in Florida, no Florida client, blah, 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 all types of stuff. But there's very limited exceptions, and you go check the Supreme Court for those. But that is our rights and our birthright as Americans here under the Constitution, and God bless the Constitution for that. So everyone should stand for that, in my opinion. And with that spirit, now you can associate and not associate with who you want, but that's all these ideas of we're going to have a list and we're going to blacklist and we're not going to hire these people, or we're going to boycott this, or we're going to do this. It's like, look, now I don't want to be a hypocrite, but so many things I'm opening up. I think there was some usefulness to the temporary boycotts of some of that Robbie Starbuck was doing with some of the woke companies, stuff like that, because those companies were not addressing the needs. They were not representing their customers. Now you have a right to do it. You have a right to not people have not. And it wasn't. I don't know that it was super organized, and I don't know enough to really open all that type of stuff up. But when you saw the Bud Light thing, whatever like that, I mean, if you look at that demographic of Bud Light, look at what Jaguar did with their commercial. Their sales plummeted in Europe. Okay, so the point is that if you want to totally rebrand and go after a whole new audience, that's it. But I mean, don't be upset if your audience says, hey, if that's not like, business, broadcasting, whatever, is the game of addition, not subtraction. But generally, I'm not I don't like the boycott thing. I don't like any of that type of stuff. But I think for a lot of people, it's the point where they don't feel like their voice is heard, and that goes back to the Tucker thing. I think Ted Cruz politically wrecked himself. He'll be fine, but I mean, I don't think he did himself any favors if he wants to go to a larger, political national office with what he said on Tucker. I think Tucker kind of exposed him in a lot of ways, because, and again, it's nothing against anything. But when you talk about, you're a representative. The right answer is, hey, I want to be the best representative possible for Texas. That's really the only answer. And I'm not saying he didn't say it, but he didn't. I don't know. I'll let Ted Cruz speak for himself. He's a smart dude. But what I'm saying, where I'm getting at is, one way or another, eventually the market's going to give you feedback. That's what I said to Shaun Maguire and stuff like that. Like, you get that kind of heat, I mean, you could, there's some people that are just gonna, pound you over the head with their argument. And if you don't agree with me, then you're a bad person. You're this, you're that, you're this ism, that is that, whatever like that. And, that's not a good way to go about. That's not how you persuade people. The market will tell you, it will give you feedback. Now, let's move to the next chapter. I hate cancel culture and censorship and all that type of stuff. We should be able. I've been in liberal spaces most of my life, bro. I knew what I was getting into going to undergrad and law school at Berkeley. I knew, living in this Bay Area and even Silicon Valley, whatever like that. And it wasn't as bad as it was now, but I mean, thankfully it's getting better. And I will say that to my MAGA friends, sticking up for Maguire and Rabois and Ackman and Andreessen and so many others. Elon Musk leading the way. Thank God for those people. We need the tech bros. We need the VC bros, the PE bros, people is bro. That's the shorthand. Everyone, it's all inclusive. Money, influence, technology, everything like that. I mean, it wasn't long ago that it was, and look at they're doing heavy lifting with the universities. You couldn't try being a conservative, getting a job at a major university. Try being a conservative, getting a job at a major law firm. Try being a conservative, getting a job in tech or VC 5 years ago. Good luck. Good luck. So yeah, thank gosh they're there, dude. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Everyone, we all need each other, dude. But this other thing about like the whole, whether it's again, the censorship, the no hire list, I don't like any of that stuff. Here's why, because you never know where talent's going to come from. Dude, Israel makes great stuff. There's some really smart people over there and stuff like that. I mean, you've got, you know, a startup nation and Technion. You have so many different things going on over there. Like it just, I mean, I want to do business with everybody. So what I don't like is when people like, you could have these strong conversations and disagreements. You should still say, you know what, I'll hire you. You know what, I'll work with you. You know what, I'll still do a deal with you, whatever like that. Individually, maybe someone, you know, maybe you don't want to do, you know, I understand things can happen, but I mean, that's my outlook on everything. I'll work with everybody. It's okay to have a disagreement. That is what free speech is about. People have to stop being such babies and grow up. If you only talk to and do business with and hang out with and listen to people that agree with you, you learn nothing. You learn nothing or very little. You're not challenging yourself. You know, and so you only become a better person by overcoming temptation, by facing down challenges in your life, by pushing yourself. So I don't want to get philosophical, but I mean, you understand what I'm saying? So anything that doesn't, any decisions that you're making that aren't business focused, that aren't about who can build the best product, who can work the hardest, who can do this and that, I don't like that. And anyone that wants to, that can stand up for their convictions, whether it's Keith Rabois or Shaun Maguire or Amjad Masad, I hope I pronounced that wrong. I'm sorry if I didn't. Or others, or my buddy, you know, I want to do business with, because at least I know these are straight shooters. These are people that will stand up to their conviction, even if it costs them money. Bill Ackman, Tucker Carlson, stuff like that. And that's good. Now, the people that are maybe stoking discontent for money or for clicks, I don't have a lot of time for that. I'm not going to name names. I want to be positive, not negative. But there's a big difference. And I don't think any of those people are doing any of that. I think perhaps there's some, from time to time, some performative elements to what Tucker Carlson does. That's my personal opinion. I'm not alleging anything, but he is a professional broadcaster. That is his job. That is his job. That is the job. So I don't take umbrage with that. You know, I mean, I think there's things that Andrew Schultz does. There's things that Joe Rogan does. We all have our things. We all have our ways of doing it. You know what I'm saying? But I would definitely caution him, as I had before, that when it comes to serious, if you're going to engage in serious issues, try to engage in serious issues. Let me revise that. I don't like to do the performative thing with serious. That's just me. Okay, so let's move on now. And I will say this, and I've said it before. If potentially you are not being as inclusive and maybe discriminating against people, well, I mean, let me revise that. Strike that. Let me revise that. If you're not being fully inclusive, then you can't get mad if people aren't including you. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't make it right. It makes both wrong. But again, do wonder others as you do. You know, and I'll say this: I did the Techstars venture deal. So great course. And Brad Feld, Foundry, love Brad. He's a great dude. He was in full disclosure. I met Brad, and he's been on my show a long time ago. When he was doing I think startup visa or something like that. So I did that, but I was doing that course, and I don't want to say too much, and I don't want to be negative, but I mean, I don't know when that course was made. A lot of diversity, DEI. It was a little woke, and I think Brad's liberal, and that's okay. But I mean, it's like I was, when I'm doing that course, I was thinking to myself, wow, yeah, thank gosh for these tech pros. I mean, because I'm not, it would have been super hard for me to break. I mean, and it's gonna be hard now. I mean, it's on your best day, it's hard to break into venture capital and stuff like that. But I mean, it's like, so, remember what the world was like not that long ago. Okay, so all right, now I'm gonna speed through the rest of this stuff, but I had to go through some different levels there and try to. So what I would love to see is Keith and Amjad have a discussion, have a debate, have a podcast. Definitely the one we want to see is for sure is Bill Ackman and Tucker. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. And I think a lot of people would see that. Throw Shaun Maguire in there too. Why not? But Bill and that'd be cool. And I have offered, and Keith liked this post, and I had a lot of different things in the post. I have offered to facilitate, and I don't need to be on camera. It's not about me. I'm not trying to put myself over. I mean, we're all trying to put ourselves, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like that's not the main impetus of this. I'm happy to be the brain trust, the behind the curtains. I'm happy to prepare things, whatever, facilitate any way that I can. Those are the names. Those are the stars, not me. But I am fair, and I'm a professional host. I'm very good at asking questions, and I'm very fair with it. I can ask questions. Nobody else can host like me, players. Believe me, because I understand things and I can do it in a way. And I've in fact been approached by some big names to do some stuff because they understand the skill level. And all that. So I would love to see like a Tucker Carlson, maybe Megyn Kelly, Anna Paulina Luna, Redacted. Who else? Maybe Thomas Massey. I don't know. Rand Paul, Keith Rabois, Bill Ackman, Shaun Maguire, Amjad Masad, and have it like the old Arthur Miller. Sorry, I got the Cinema lines a little slow pull there on focus when I move around too much. And like did the Arthur Miller like Harvard Roundtable and just chop it up, chat it up a little bit. I think that would be super cool. Charlie Kirk, no holds barred, just get into it fairly. Don't let it devolve, but and I think coming out of that, everybody wins, because I think that we can't be afraid to engage in the issues here. And it's like the Epstein thing, right? People said one thing, there was a response, there was some pushback, a turning point. Megyn Kelly, Tucker, some other people. Now it looks, Dan Bongino. Now it looks like there's another response, and maybe we're going to end up in a better place. And again, the Megyn Kelly and Ben Shapiro thing, I thought they both did great. And that's what I'm saying. So you come on a better angle here. And the thing is with the Israel thing, I mean, I think people are just like, look, what's fair for Israel? What's fair for the Palestinians? What's fair? How do we get to no wars? How do we get to everybody living together in peace and harmony and everything like that? There's political considerations over there in Israel, just like there's political considerations here. That's nothing wrong with saying that. And let's figure it out. Who benefits with continued war and fighting? Who benefits with we're better? Sorry, let me revise and extend that. Who benefits with our side versus your side, death, destruction, whatever is, it's not good. I think most people just want to be left alone and just want to just do a good job for their family and be happy and everything like that. So anyway, I probably made a bunch of mistakes. I'm trying to do the best I can. Hopefully you understand that. All right, so let's move on. All right. So enough of that. So that's what was going on there. A lot of stuff. And it's hard because, like I said, I like all those people. Okay. Now, I will turn your attention. What do I want to do? Let me just check a couple things. Okay, we're done with Shaun. We're done with Keith. Okay. Oh my gosh. From Alpha Fox via Cat Turd on X. Apparently there was some. You gotta love X. Apparently there was some security footage. And they were saying maybe it was edited. I'm not alleging anything. There was a meme, but this is obviously fake, in my opinion. There was a meme here, and there's been this Elmo meme going on. I don't want to ruin the joke ahead of time, but here we go. And they have Alpha Fox. I knew it. There's been some crazy things going on. Elon's been, I won't even get into this. There's been some crazy memes going on on X. Oh my gosh. But I will say this, at least you gotta have the humor. You gotta keep the humor up. That's Cat Turd. Alpha Fox. Okay. So we've done that. Now this is interesting. I mean, there's so many different levels to this. That's what I'm talking about. So we hear here, this is from Daily Caller reporter Jason Cohen. Do I have this right? Daily Caller, Jason Cohen. Okay. Alan Dershowitz says it's not Trump administration that's hiding Epstein info. It's judges. Many of these things are being suppressed. Are being suppressed by 2 judges in Manhattan. Issued orders to disclose. That's what I'm saying. Who knows? Who knows, dude? There's so much stuff going on with this stuff. I think that, and I haven't followed the whole Epstein thing very closely at all. I mean, I kind of feel it's going to be like Al Capone's vault with Geraldo, stuff like that, especially it's been going on for a long time. I mean, if you believe in any of the conspiracy stuff, you think they wouldn't have gotten rid of whatever. And apparently, according to Megyn Kelly, like the original search warrants were super narrow and stuff like this. Anyway, I don't think anyone's necessarily alleging anything. I think a lot of people they don't even know. I think a lot of it is just like people just want. Obviously, people people really care about the victims, but also people care about, like, they want to know that there's some level of transparency and responsiveness in the government, and they're not being played by the government. I think that's really like most of it, in my opinion. But I haven't covered it that extensively. Okay. I got to weather this down to be able to spend any time with my wife, so I do apologize. I'm gonna speed run through the rest of this. She works really hard and is gone most of the day at this point. Okay. Now, so Megyn Kelly kind of says the same thing. I will refer you to, this is the full clip, full podcast. There was a segment with her and Shapiro, where it's really, really good. MAGA demands more Epstein transparency and Epstein's potential intel ties with Ben Shapiro and Schellenberger. Megyn Kelly, great show today, Megyn Kelly. I do applaud you on that. Yeah, I mean, look, Megan's smart, and she's a good, she's got a good mind. She can definitely step up sometimes. I don't watch her show on the daily, but sometimes it's must watch. And that's no diss. It's just, there's just so much content out there, and I've got to do my own stuff as well. So, I mean, she can absolutely step up, and she has stepped up on this one, as did Ben Shapiro. So props to both of you guys. People, excuse me, and women. Okay, now. Okay, we got that one done. Winding it down. Okay, let's shift gears. And okay. Yeah. We're gonna do all tech at the back end. Here. But first I have to get to one last thing. Oh, our vice president is phenomenal. He really is. Let me find this. He apparently has joined Blue Sky and is just trolling the heck out of them. Okay. And that is libs over in Blue Sky. Come on, get out. Okay. Libs over at Blue Car, absolutely melting down over JD Vance's latest post. I've got an exciting announcement about my political future, Trump 2028. I love JD, dude. I love JD. He is so great. He is amazing. He is amazing. Best vice president ever. I mean, just on so many levels, just so smart, executing, just doing the agenda, chain of command, funniness, just everything. He's just great. JD's great. That was awesome. All right, good job, JD, on that one. All right, now let's shift gears into tech and swerve right back into that, and let's try to land this plane. First of all, let's start with and FDA. We have health stuff too. We have Maha stuff too. First of all, let's go to NVIDIA. NVIDIA, like super big market cap. I think it's one of the biggest. I can't remember. It's like trillion, 4 trillion, something crazy. And this is from co-founder of and CTO of Hyperbolic Labs, Yuchen Jin, and previously at Octo AI, acquired by NVIDIA, building Apache TVM, PhD. I mean, this guy's awesome. And he liked one of my posts. This guy's amazing. So many smart people on X. Just love it. Just love it. Really blessed to be on X and appreciate the interaction that we have. I mean, especially for someone like smart, especially like if you're not in Silicon Valley or DC or New York and stuff like that, to be able to interact with the quality of intelligence and posting and stuff like that on X, just incredible. And the people that you can connect with, and it's just so great. So I really appreciate that, and appreciate all of you guys, from everyone on down, Bill Ackman, Yunjin Chen, Molly O'Shea, Julian Moore, Shaun Maguire, Keith Rabois. It is so many. I don't want to leave anyone out. Okay. Here we go. Check this out. SoftBank was a large shareholder of NVIDIA, but they sold their entire 4.9% stake in NVIDIA in 2009 for $3.6 billion. It's worth $200 billion today. And this is Masad from SoftBank. Jensen, super legends, both super legends. Here we go. Tokyo, November 13th. Here we go.
Many of you probably don't know this, but at one point, Masad was the largest shareholder of NVIDIA.
Don't do it to him, Jensen. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Don't crush him like that. Don't crush him like that. That's like, oh my gosh. That's like breaking up with a girl or boy. That doesn't matter. And they, and they end up being like super successful and winning some, just being amazing. Like, I don't want to even characterize it. Just being amazing later. And I was the one that got away. This was the one that got away from Masad. Oh.
It's okay. We can cry together.
Dude, I love those guys. Those are the legends. What a bunch of legends. That's amazing. That's amazing. And then look, and listen, that's a great story. That's how it goes. No one's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. I mean, this is high risk, right? And I mean, I'm sure they did well off that investment, but that's why sometimes like I could have I knew about Bitcoin a long time ago, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I could have been retired. I could have been a millionaire. But I know myself. I for sure would have when I was up. I would have. I'm not like the gambling type. Like I would have taken money off the table. I would have probably cashed out of that long time. So it's like but that's funny. But it just goes to show you that you never know. You never know. You have some of the smartest people. As Chamath says, no crying in the casino. Now, not to say this. That's a saying. That's a term of art. It's not. No one's accusing anyone of the casino. Okay. What else do I have here? Let's talk about this. AI news. A lot of stuff going on in AI news. We're seeing these $100 million contracts. We're seeing people being poached. We're seeing, Meta snapping up people. We're seeing some of the big wigs back snapping up people. Now we have this story here. I don't know all of it. I know just the basic out. I may be getting wrong. So I'm not alleging any facts. My recollection, my paraphrase. So we have this here, Technology Brothers podcast. These guys are doing a heck of a job here. They're crushing it out there. And if you haven't seen the ad they did for Wander, it's amazing. It's hilarious. It's great. And they're doing it on the daily out there. They're out there. They're talking about this whole thing with Windsurf AI. And I think what happened was, I may be wrong, but I think the story was some of the top dudes at Windsurf went over to Google. Again, these big companies are snapping up top AI talent. There is an absolute AI race going on right now. There is an absolute talent acquisition, a talent chase, if you will. And so yeah, so they went out there, and then that like this company was kind of left a little bit, I think, a little bit high and dry. Then you had Cognition Labs and Scott Wu. They came in there and they did an M&A, and they snapped this thing up. And these guys went out there. I hope I can play just a little bit of this. Well, I'll play it without the sound, stuff like that. You had Jeff Wang, CEO of Windsurf, and then Scott Wu, co-founder and chief of Cognition. They went on Technology Brothers. I would say go check this thing out here, and let's just
being acquired by Cognition.
Okay. There you go. Look at that. I mean, they broke the news there on TBPN, and then this is must watch. That is must watch stuff out there with TBPN and the guys. I mean, they do a heck of a job, and they're getting presented by Ramp up there. They get so many scoops. You got to just love what they're doing out there, and they're just crushing it, dude. They're absolutely crushing it. A heck of a story. It just shows how fast things are moving. How fast things are moving out there. And they covered a lot of other stories here. And I mean, and they're just doing this on the daily. They're just doing this on the daily. And so, you've got to love it. You got to love what they're doing there. Oh, you got it like me, buddy. You got it like me, buddy. That's how we do it. You got that little roadcaster there. I love that. Producer Ben, get it going on there, buddy. So that's good. You got Jordi Hays, you got the gang over there, and they're making it happen. And it's history, history making right there. So you got to appreciate what they're able to do there. So that's a huge story. Now, so congrats to the TBPN team out there. Make it happen. And they're hustling it. Now, we also, along the same lines, I would say, and we'll end with Dr. Marty McCarry, because that just conceptually that makes sense. We're going to get done here within 2 hours, and that's kind of the battery life of my camera anyway. So that's usually a hard stop. I will show you here Molly O'Shea. Molly O'Shea is great, and we've gone back and forth, and she's great. She's also a Sorcery VC. And do not sleep on the followers, because I'm telling you, she has some of the best content out there, the best guests. She's going around the world. She's a VC founder, huge fan of Brex IQ. Yeah, she reps Brex like nobody yet. She's got that gold card. And we go back and forth and stuff like that. And she's making fun of me, and she had said different, and like I was off on. I didn't mean to be off, and then she was off on my. Anyway, it's a back and forth, but she is really great. A lot of hustle, a lot of spunk. You saw some of her early podcasts. You could see that she was a little bit new to the broadcasting, but man, she is stuck with it. She's broken a lot of stories. She's really funny. And very smart. And I don't know how all these kids are getting VC funds and what they're doing, whatever like that, but I am no hater. God bless her. But Molly is fantastic, a must follow, someone that's very, very smart and stuff like that. And I would say well worth your time, in my opinion. And then I'll show you a little bit of this to just, I'm not going to get too into it. It's not huge, but I mean, just to show you a snippet of some of the, people looking at my stuff and back and forth. And I'll talk through that a little bit. And one with Dr. Marty McCarry here. And I got to be a little bit careful. I hope I don't, well, it's just notifications. It shouldn't be anything like here, but we have Molly, like Molly's like for my post, and then she's, doing this, and that's my camera. It's going off. I will continue. I have that 2 hour limit. So that's okay. I can show the screen. So that's fine. You don't need to see me anyway. I can show the screen here, but we're seeing like, Molly, so Molly's going back and forth with me. So we go back and forth. And then we also have Justine Moore. Excuse me. I apologize, Justine. I apologize. Venture Twins. Now, she's a partner at Andreessen Horowitz. Now, Justine Moore. God, I keep doing that. I'm sorry. Justine Moore. Monica Crowley likes almost everything I put up. She's fantastic. Ambassador Chief Protocol of the United States. She's doing a heck of a job. And this is where I really appreciate people that are engaged like that. And Justine Moore and her sister, Moore Tweets, they really have done a lot in the AI space, particularly AI to video. Very, very brilliant. She had some great stuff over her trip to Japan. But if you want to learn about AI video, she's on top of it, and so is her twin. And that's really, really some great stuff out there. So that's really good. Somewhere in here, I may have gone too far. No, I think I'm back. Keith Rabois was saying something. I mean, just like one of my posts, not a huge deal. It's not a big deal. I mean, I appreciate Keith. I'm not trying to, that is a big deal. But I mean, if I don't get to it, it's not the biggest deal. I don't know where. Probably there we go. KR's doing it. So he's good. So anyway, not a big deal. I'm not trying to, whatever. But I'm just 1 second. I'll share this from Dr. Martin Makari, and we will end on that. The point is that to some degree, some level, I'm in the mix, and I do appreciate that. So now we've got right here Dr. Martin Makari, and I'm exchanging an email with him before too. He was a professor at Johns Hopkins, and I've got 2 grad degrees from Johns Hopkins, as does my wife, with honors and stuff like that. And Dr. Makari is of the FDA commissioner, is doing amazing things with Secretary Kennedy from Health and Human Services, and they're with Secretary Rollins, and they're out there talking about removing food colorings. This is the MAHA agenda, right? From ice cream and things like that, which is great. Super smart dude, super accomplished, MD, MPH. I think he also teaches at a business school and Hopkins Medicine and School of Public Health. I may have not gotten all the appointments right, but I mean, just a superstar out there. He is a legend in the health field and stuff like that. So he's just talking about some different things out there. He's doing what I really love about this administration is you have a lot of secretaries out there doing the interviews, very camera friendly. They're talking about that new drugs, new devices. They're talking and how to speed up different things. And he's just doing a heck of a job here with the dyes and trying to make things healthier, but also trying to speed up new breakthroughs and stuff like that, and trying to make the FDA more user-friendly, better communications, better transparency. And some people had said in the previous that maybe the FDA was a little bit of a captured agency and stuff like that. I'm not alleging that. I think, in my opinion, that was maybe written out there. So trying to get some things done out there. And listen, we need everybody. We need big pharma. We need medical device. We need FDA. We need everybody to work together to be able to have the best healthcare field out there, system out there, and we want that. And so we appreciate everyone out there in industry and in government doing their things, stuff like that. Dr. Martin Makari is a champion and a legend out there doing his work. Great appointment by President Trump. So with that, I'm going to end. I definitely appreciate everybody. I hope I did everything as good as I can. I'm sure I made plenty of mistakes. I do apologize for that. If I have done that, please give me some grace and forgiveness on that. But hopefully we've had it a little bit more light than heat. And that's kind of what's been going on over the weekend. If you missed a day, you missed a lot out there in the tech and political world. But I think I just have a sense, I'm a natural optimist. I have a sense that we're getting to a better place. And we're going to keep working to improve it. So I appreciate everyone out there. And I will see you on the next show. And I'll see you out there online. So thanks so much. Have a good evening. Best to you and your family. And God bless. My name is John D. Villarreal. And I'll see you next time.